Welcome back to my channel, Statistics for Applied Linguistics. I'm Dr. Marnie Menegra, and in this video, we are going to look at descriptive statistics and reporting descriptive statistics in your thesis. So first, what are descriptive statistics? Normally, we talk about two different types. Descriptive statistics describes the summaries of data using percentages, ratios, or raw numbers. So if I were looking at a data set, I would say 84% of the participants replied that, and we're using the percentage. Inferential statistics, on the other hand, allows you to make predictions or inferences about the population based on a sample. So these would be tests that show the probability of an occurrence or the p-value, which would include t-tests and ANOVAs, chi-squares. We're going to see inferential statistics in other videos. They will each have their own video. And so first, when we're looking at descriptive statistics, one thing that we should never discuss is the word average. The average number of participants responded. And so the question, why don't we use the word average? Well, average can mean more than one thing. So first, an average can refer to the mean or the arithmetic mean. This is the sum of n divided by the total number of n. So if I had 25 students in my class and I wanted to know what the arithmetic mean was for the class, I would take all of the scores from each of the students, add them together, and then divide it by 25. Often when people refer to the word average, they mean arithmetic mean. But then there's also the median. The median is also the average. And the median is the number in the middle. So in this case, if I took my 25 students and I lined up their grades, where the lowest was 12, the highest was 90, and the number in the middle might be 65. You know, it's just whatever the number is. And so 65 might be completely different from the arithmetic mean. Maybe the arithmetic mean of this exact same exam is 70%. Now, mean can also mean the mode. The mode is the most common number in this set. And so let's say the median was 65, the arithmetic mean was 70, but of the students that took this exam, 5 of them received 85%. And then 4 of them received 60%. Each of the other students had completely different scores. The mode in this case is going to be 85%. So when we're talking about average, it could be 85, 65, or 70, depending on whether you're referring to the mean, the median, or the mode. Now, there's also such a thing as an outlier. And you can see that in this graphic here. We have a whole group of participants together. But then we've got 4 people that are not really part of this group, and these are outliers. So these are participants that do something very odd, in that it may be extremely high or extremely low compared to the rest of the other participants. And with the outliers, sometimes you'll see people calculate what is referred to as the trimmed mean. And the trimmed mean is the arithmetic mean after removing the outliers. So the text cut off at the bottom, but it's after removing these outliers. And so the trimmed mean is going to give a bit of a different value than what you would get from the arithmetic mean. Now let's look at the range and the standard deviation. In the center where we see 0 on this bell curve here is actually the mean. So the mean is going to be in the center. Now, if the grades for a course were calculated properly and there was no floor effect or no ceiling effect, you should see the grades distributed for a class similar to this, where you have half of the students are above the mean, half are below the mean, and you've got this bell curve where 68% of the student scores are in the first standard deviation from the mean. Now, the range of the scores is going to be the difference between the minimum score and the highest score. So you're looking at, say, if the lowest score on an exam is 12%, the highest is 99, the range is going to be the difference between these two. The variance is the number that summarizes the difference between the mean and other values. And then the standard deviation is the square root of the variance. So we used to have to calculate the standard deviation by hand. You're able to do this in JASP. We'll have a look at reporting descriptive statistics in JASP, and you can see that the standard deviation is going to be calculated for you. And so again, if it is above the mean, we've got these positive standard deviations. Below the mean, we've got the negative standard deviations. Now, quartiles. Quartiles, instead of looking at the mean, we're looking at the median. The median is in the center, and we've got all of the data is broken into 4 chunks. So the interquartile range is the difference between the interquartile values. So you can see the range here, interquartile range, the difference between Q3 to Q1. And the lower quartile is the 25% of the data that falls below the median. And then the upper quartile, 25% of the data that falls above the median. So we've got the first quartile or quartile, lower quartile here, second quartile, which is the middle quartile, third quartile, upper quartile here, and then the highest would be the fourth quartile. And these quartiles are used often for the grading system in the universities in North America. So you'll see the grades are often on a 4-point scale that's representative of these, the quartiles. Now let's look at analyzing questionnaire data. So analyzing background variables, there's a couple of examples here. Just to note, the table is not in APA 7 format, which we can see because it does have the table column lines. But background variables are usually written in the participant information. And these variables can just be described in text, lists, or tables. So if we look at these bullet points, we can see 32% of the participants migrated to a different country, while the remaining 68% reside in their birth countries. So this is participant information. This table is showing us how many students in each school in each location. Okay, now if we're analyzing qualitative data from post-questionnaires, instead of seeing the post-questionnaire data in the participant information, here we are going to sort the data into categories. So if we're looking at questions on enjoyability, recommendations, perceptions of learning, try to get them into categories, and you can write subheadings or subcategories in the results section for the qualitative data. And decide whether you will report the raw data or convert the data to descriptive statistics, the mean, the percentages, standard deviations, or compare the data using inferential statistics to make a prediction of whether the data is true for the population that it represents. Okay, so in reporting descriptive statistics, use subheadings to group the like questions together so there's a logical order. Then use tables or figures to explain the data and trends. And don't make any assumptions or overgeneralizations. So we cannot generalize the information from descriptive statistics. So when we use inferential statistics, we can infer that if this is true for this population, it is true for, or if it is true for the sample, it is true for the population that that sample represents. If we are only using descriptive statistics, we cannot assume that the population would also follow the trend that we're finding with the data in the descriptive form. So here's an example of sorting descriptive statistics by subcategory. So the results, and then 3.1, enjoyment level and preferences. So this is where I'm saying sort the information. If you're getting their perceptions, sort the information into subcategories, so that way it's much easier for the reader to follow. I've seen students try to just go question by question, and then it feels like you're bouncing around a little bit when you're reading. So do categorize the questions and write the information together for those questions. And here's another example in a statistics or a table. This one here, you can see that the table is in APA 7 format. There's no column lines. And here we've got for the Catalan and Spanish students versus Canadian students, this is on a telecollaboration. This is the intercultural competence dimensions. And from the pre-questionnaire to the post-questionnaire, we've got the mean, the standard deviation, and the total number. So this is a great way to organize your descriptive stats. Another way you can do this is to use a figure. So here's students' perceptions of the duration of the telecollaboration. Some felt it was perfect, some too long, some too short. But this really gives you a great visual of how the students actually felt of the duration of this study. Okay, so these are my references. And again, thank you so much for listening and watching this video, listening to and watching this video. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.